I just wanted to lie low and survive long enough to resign, stash cash, and vanish. After all, I'd transmigrated into a ruthless CEO novel as the Cannon-Fodder assistant who dies before chapter 10. Then one misdelivered love letter short-circuited the iceberg boss who never saw women as anything but scenery. He shoved the storybook sweetheart aside and cornered me instead, murmuring. From that moment on came force-feeding lunch, a casual $50 million necklace, and a boss who planted a kiss on me in front of the entire charity gala. My name is Lila, your basic corporate drone. 3 seconds after I woke up on a stranger's king-size bed with someone else's memories playing in my head, I accepted the absurd. I jumped into the vintage CEO novel, Billions for My Sweetheart. Unfortunately, I wasn't the beloved sweetheart. I was the disposable assistant who gets crushed by Adrian before the 10th chapter. In the original plot, she envies Sophie, trips her up in secret, and ends up ruined. Career, family, everything. Today, that cannon-fodder assistant is me. But the story has only started. The leads are still stuck in the I run you chase phase. And I haven't yet felt a single jealous flicker towards Saint Sophie. Self-preservation is hardwired into every modern wage slave. So I drafted the Transmigration Survival 3-point plan. 1. Keep 1,000 yards from Adrian. Think vending machine with no feelings. If he says the sky is green, I bring sunglasses. If he wants his documents at 8:59, they're stacked at 8:58. 2. Keep the same distance from Sophie. No envy, no chats. She trips. I'm invisible. She's bullied. I'm gone. She's a walking plot bomb. I'm tissue paper. 3. Grind, save, and quit before their romance peaks and I'm sacrificed on the altar of true love, then buy a cozy bungalow and live out my days petting stray cats. I truly believed those rules would let me coast to the finale. Turns out fate is a prankster, and my CEO's neurons are wired like a ball of Christmas lights. The pivot landed in month 3, on the final afternoon of Caldwell's make or break merger talks. As Adrian's chief assistant, I'd carried in mountains of paperwork. I'd stayed up 3 nights triple-checking every decimal. Adrian, 6'2", 8-pack, sculpted by angry angels, is also a control freak who wants everything placed left to right. Data. Risk report. Contract. Within a centimeter. I rang the office door at the stroke of the hour, raccoon-eyed and balancing the stack. Come. His voice could freeze espresso. He stood at the window, Armani skimming that textbook V-taper. I swallowed a yawn and laid out the folders with surgical precision. Adrian. All files verified. I droned. Robot level neutral. He grunted. I pivoted to escape, then noticed a pink corner poking from beneath the contract. A crooked heart sticker glittered like a crime scene flag. My heart slammed. Yesterday, the new intern next door, blushing, eyes shiny, begged me to slip an important letter onto his desk. Half dead from overtime, I said sure, jammed the envelope into my folder, and forgot it existed. Now that love letter had infiltrated a multi-billion-dollar deal. If he spots it, I'm spam in the company filter, fired, blacklisted, reduced to selling plasma. My severance, my cottage, my future, all circling the drain. I have to snatch it back before Adrian turned. His gaze slid across the desk, pausing on the bubblegum abomination. The office temperature dropped 20 degrees. What's this? Ice over gravel. My brain blue screened. Instinct hijacked me. I lunged, fingers clawing for the envelope. Sorry, sir. Personal letter, my mistake. I'll just... Too slow. He plucked it free with conductor-like coolness. Momentum carried me forward. I windmilled, seized his tie for balance, and RIP. Half a yard of Italian silk dangled from my fist like a surrendered flag. I gaped up at him, tasting metal. Adrian, inches away, held the pink evidence in one hand and stared at the severed tie in the other. Storm clouds rolled behind his irises. Sir, please, let me explain. Adrian didn't say anything. He just looked at me, his eyes growing heavier, darker. Then, slowly, word by word, he spoke. His voice wasn't loud, but it landed like a sledgehammer on my heart. Lila, you've successfully caught my attention. Me, somebody save me. That classic alpha boss line was supposed to be delivered to the heroine. Sophie, why was it coming at me? Hey, director, somebody switched the scripts. I was sure I was done for. According to standard CEO novel logic, the next scene should be security dragging me out and HR emailing a termination letter, banishing me from Caldwell forever. But Adrian's reaction blew past every forecast. He stared at me for a full 30 seconds. A stare so layered I couldn't read it. curiosity, confusion, even a flash of insulted irritation, and curiosity again. Finally he released the love letter, letting it flutter to the carpet. He didn't bother with the half-tie still clenched in my fist. He simply rounded the desk, sat on the sofa, and reopened the merger deal folder, flipping pages without looking up. He said to my frozen self, "Out. Shut the door." I stood there blinking. That's it. No eruption, no instant firing. Like a death row inmate suddenly pardoned, I all but rolled and crawled out of the president's office. The moment the door clicked shut, I sagged against the cold wood, legs jelly, barely upright. My heart was still sprinting, palms slick with cold sweat. What just happened? Why didn't Adrian fire me? Could the merger deal be so critical that he'll deal with the small fry later? Had to be. Once the meeting ends, he'll settle scores. No way am I waiting for the axe. Better to charge the guillotine myself. I hurried back to my cubicle, opened my laptop, and fastest typing, most apologetic tone ever, cranked out a 3,000-word self-critique. I trashed my own negligence, my recklessness, the potential reputational damage to Caldwell, flayed myself alive, vowed to accept any penalty. Total bonus forfeiture, voluntary resignation, whatever. After the confession, I printed a resignation letter, double insurance. One of them ought to satisfy him and get this troublemaker out of his sight. The entire morning I sat in purgatory. Adrian left for a conference. The presidential door stayed shut. At lunch the whole office emptied for food. I had zero appetite. I kept refreshing my inbox, waiting for HR's death sentence email. Then the internal line rang. It was the president's office. My hand jerked so hard I nearly dropped the receiver. I sucked in a breath and squeaked, "Adrian, up here." 2 words again, icy, clipped, final. I grabbed my confession and resignation and, feeling like I was climbing the scaffold, re-entered the office that now lived in my nightmares. Adrian was back from the meeting. He'd tossed the suit jacket. Only a white shirt remained, the top 2 buttons open, exposing sharp collarbones. The snap tie was gone, but that cursed love letter still lay on the floor, silently mocking me. "Adrian, here's my apology, and my resignation." I proffered both papers, head so low my chin nearly touched my sternum. He didn't take them, didn't even glance. He simply jerked his chin toward the desk. "What's that?" I looked. An exquisite bento box sat there. I don't know. Open it. Puzzled. I stepped over, flipped the lid. A wave of rich aroma hit me. 4 dishes plus soup, meat and veg balanced, colors and scent restaurant grade, clearly the work of a top private chef. "Adrian, this is your lunch," he said flatly. I went full deer in headlights. I didn't order anything. I told Chef to make it. Chef is the family's personal cook, skills worthy of 3 Michelin stars. In the original story, he only ever cooks for Adrian and, later, the heroine Sophie. Now he cooked for me. What kind of maneuver is this? A last meal before execution. "Adrian, I eat." 1 syllable, 0 negotiation. The morning meeting went perfectly. They loved our data and risk assessment. The contract is signed. I grew even more muddled. Was this praise? WL. It was my job. Assistant Lila, he lifted his gaze, eyes blazing. "Are you afraid of me?" My heart lurched. Was I that obvious? Duh. Who isn't terrified of a boss who can end you with 1 signature? Plus I know his future, glorious deeds. The man demolishes enemies without blinking. But admit it, not a chance. I shook my head so hard it blurred and plastered on my best professional smile. No, Adrian, you're brilliant and benevolent. Why would I be afraid? I'm in awe. Yes, awe. My shameless flattery gave myself goosebumps. Adrian's mouth curved. Barely, but I caught it. Did the iceberg just smirk? The flash vanished in an instant. But I'd seen it. Really? He leaned back, fingers steepled, inspecting me like a specimen. Then why the hurry to resign? Here it comes. The main event. I switched to full contrition mode. "Adrian, today I committed an unpardonable sin. I defiled a sacred document, manhandled you, and destroyed personal property. I betrayed your trust and shamed the company. I'm too mortified to stay at Caldwell." I delivered the speech like Shakespeare, 1 step from actual tears. Adrian listened without reaction. Then he picked up my resignation, glanced once, and a rip, he tore it in half in front of me and tossed the scraps into the trash. "I'll keep your apology. As for quitting," he paused. Tone absolute, denied. I stared, mouth open. "Why?" "Because." He rose and closed the distance, step by deliberate step. The pressure forced me backward until the cold wall blocked retreat. He trapped me there, head lowered, warm breath brushing my ear, because nobody has ever dared do that to me. His voice was low. "Dangerous. Lila, you've made me curious, until that curiosity dies. You're not going anywhere. My brain blue screened. What kind of reason is that? Because I snapped his tie and gave him a novel experience. I can't quit. What screwed up billionaire hobby is this? Normal logic, you offended me? Get out. His logic, you offended me? How quaint. Stay. I stared at his absurdly handsome face inches away, smelled the crisp cologne, and for the first time questioned reality itself. Pretty sure I've derailed the plot. And the derailment is spectacular. From that day on, my career entered a surreal alternate dimension. Adrian never mentioned the love letter or the tie again, as if the incident were a harmless blooper, but his treatment of me executed a full 180. He stopped seeing me as a soulless assistant bot and began a full-scale invasion of my life. For instance, claiming an assistant's image equals the company's image, he dragooned the corporate styling team into a head-to-toe makeover. When I stood in front of him in a six-figure Chanel number and murder height Jimmy, I felt like a product being polished for the auction block. Much better. He gave me a head-to-toe sweep and nodded in approval. I was howling inside. Was my old business wear that offensive? It was still a designer set that devoured half a month's salary. And these stilts. Do you want me in a stilt walking contest? Then he started caring about my diet. Every noon on the dot, chef delivered love-loaded lunches. 30 days without a repeat. The entire secretariat went from pitying me to throwing daggers of envy and speculation. I tried refusing. Adrian, really? That's not necessary. I brought a bento box. I held up my little tin. He glanced, frowned. What is that? Boiled leaves in water. Are you a rabbit? It's healthy. I squeaked. Your health is my responsibility. One sentence. Discussion over. What could I say? I ate the state banquet level food in silence, tears of pain rolling inwardly, knowing the cost would eventually be docked from my paycheck or forged into shackles I couldn't escape. Worst of all, he began invading my private hours. One weekend I was working overtime and conked out on my desk. When I woke, his still warm Armani jacket was draped over me and he was on the sofa, flipping through documents. Sunlight painted him gold. For a second he looked gentle. The thought jolted me awake. Gentle. Are you kidding? This is Adrian, the cold tyrant who, in the original novel, destroyed a whole company because the heroine said one sentence. Awake? He caught me stirring and looked up. Adrian, why are you still here? Waiting for you. Me? I was stunned. Hungry. Come eat. Said like it was law. Boss. It's Saturday, my time. Order takeout or go home to chef. Why drag your wage slave along? But I only smiled. Sure, Adrian. So he dragged me to Shea, a place I'd only seen in finance magazines. From the threshold I itched in my own skin. Every patron gleamed. I, the girl who lived for street-side skewers, was drowning in borrowed couture. Adrian was at ease. Cut my steak, narrated every dish's pedigree, even cracked ice-cold jokes. When he finished the one about why T-Rex can't clap and stared at me expectantly, I wanted to die on the spot. I let out a dry laugh. So funny. Adrian. He seemed pleased, the corner of his mouth lifting a millimeter. I can't read him. What does he want? This eerie routine dragged on for 2 weeks, until the grenade landed. Caldwell's annual charity gala was coming. The city's who's who would glitter. In Cannon, it's the night Adrian publicly claims Sophie by bidding a sky-high price for a necklace, igniting their torture love. Sophie, the freshly signed charity ambassador, would stun the room in a white gown, pure and otherworldly. I had my role, hide in a corner, invisible. Applaud on cue. 2 hours before the ball Adrian blew that plan to bits. Lila, you're my +1. I was straightening his bow tie. The tug nearly strangled him. WH what? My date, he repeated. Voice carved in stone. The dress is at your studio loft. Driver at 6. Adrian, I'm only your aide. It's inappropriate. And Sophie will attend, shouldn't you? He cut me off. Who said I was inviting her? A mocking brow. Remember your place. I decide your tasks. Tonight you come as my date, not a discussion and order. Looking into those no-retreat eyes, I swallowed every protest. Resistance. Futile. I was toast. Playing his date equals flossing a tiger's teeth. Tap dancing on the heroine's landmine. In the novel, any woman branded Adrian's date is ruined by Sophie's accidents. She's a white lotus with plot armor harder than diamond. I could already see myself face-planting, doused in champagne, or shredded by some minor villainess, while Adrian tosses me aside for Sophie. Classic Cannon-Fodder death route. With funeral heart, I returned to the studio loft. A monster gift box waited. Inside, a strapless black gown sculpted like a dream, plus full diamond parure and blinding silver heels. I sighed. surrendered, painted my face. In the mirror, hair coiled, neck swan-like, black silk against winter skin, cut to celebrate curves. Makeup dissolved my overtime pallor, conjured a bright, dangerous glam. I felt zero joy. The outfit was a custom bullseye. At 6 the driver called. I sucked in air like a condemned prisoner and marched out. The charity gala took over the city's pinnacle, the 7-star Avalon. The instant I stepped onto the red carpet on Adrian's arm, camera flashes exploded. Reporters swarmed like sharks smelling blood. Adrian, is this your new companion? An introduction? Rumor says you're dating Sophie. True? Miss, what's your relationship with Adrian? He ignored them. Or a repelling approach. Leaned into me, straight spine. Don't embarrass me. I stretched my stiff grin until my cheeks cramped. Inside Avalon, crystal chandeliers rained light. Strings soared. Skirts swirled. Champagne frothed, a kaleidoscope of power. I spotted tonight's rightful star, Sophie. Exactly as described. White slip of a dress, zero jewelry, hair cascading, makeup barely there, a lily that didn't belong yet outshone them all. She stood encircled by trust fund heiresses, serene smile laced with timid unease, the perfect lost petal heroine. When she saw Adrian, especially when she saw me on his arm, her eyes flickered with surprise and disappointment. Here it comes. The plot is officially kicking in. I snapped to full attention, bracing for whatever accident was about to land on me. Adrian steered me straight through the crowd toward the main table. Every step we took felt like walking through a hailstorm of stares, curious, jealous, appraising. I might as well have been a zoo monkey on parade. I wanted to curl up and disappear. The instant we sat, I yanked my hand off his sleeve and mentally drew a demilitarized zone between us. Nervous, he asked out of nowhere. And no, I stonewalled. He chuckled, lifted a flute of champagne, and pressed it into my hand. Drink, loosen up. I took the glass, but didn't dare sip. For all I knew, someone had spiked it, or a passerby was about to trip and splash it over some VIP. The gala program rolled out exactly as I expected. Hosts welcome, sponsor speeches, celebrity act, and the headline event, the charity auction. I kept my head down the entire time, trying to shrink into negative space, praying the clock would sprint to midnight. Trouble still hunted me down. A woman in a scarlet gown and war paint liner strutted over. Drink in hand, I recognized her. Brittany, youngest daughter of the Vance family, Cannon-Fodder socialite and Adrian's self-declared future wife. In the novel, she despises Sophie with nuclear heat. Sure enough, the first words out of her mouth were dipped in gunpowder. Adrian, long time no see, and this is your new assistant. My, she's fresh and pretty. She said, pretty the way people say cheap. Her eyes scraped over me like I was a gold-digging fox who'd scammed her way onto his arm. Adrian didn't even lift a lash. Something you need? Brittany choked on his chill, but clung to her smile. Just saying hi. Oh, I heard Sophie is here tonight. Spokesmodel for your foundation and all. Why didn't you ask her to be your date? The jab was aimed squarely at me. Remember, you're a knockoff. The real deal is standing over there. I stared at my lap. Mantra on loop. Keep walking. Keep walking. I'm not signing up for palace intrigue. Adrian finally raised his gaze. Ice cold. Since when do I need your permission for anything? Brittany's face drained to paper white. Right then, the auction began. The star lot was the heart. A sapphire necklace the size of a baby's fist. In the original story, Adrian shells out $50 million for it and clasps it around Sophie's throat, locking in their official couple status. Every head swiveled between the glittering necklace on stage and Adrian, then to Sophie hovering nearby. Audience waiting for the rom-com scene. Sophie's hands clenched in her lap, hope and terror wrestling in her eyes. I exhaled in relief. Good. The main lead script is back on track. Time for temporary arm candy to exit left. The auctioneer began. Heart. Opening bid 10 million. Minimum raise 1 million. Do I hear 11? 11. 12. The number skipped upward. At 20 million the room hushed and every lens turned to Adrian. He lounged in his chair, bored, as if the necklace were a grocery store trinket. Weird. This isn't the script. Why hasn't he jumped in? Sophie's complexion grayed, the sparkle in her eyes dimming. 20 million once. 20 million twice. Just when I thought he'd let it go, and the plot would implode. He moved. He didn't lift his paddle. He simply flicked his gaze to me. Then he asked, "Do you like it?" Me, huh? My brain blue screened for 3 seconds. Was he asking me? I glanced at the diamond iceberg blazing on stage, then into his bottomless eyes. Survival sirens screamed, I shook my head so hard my earrings clacked. No, not my thing. Way too flashy. Totally wrong for me. No way was I touching the heroine's exclusive prop, electric chair vibes. Instead of backing off, he looked entertained. As if my panic had flipped a switch. He raised his paddle. 50 million. No incremental steps. No games. He dropped a price tag that vacuumed the oxygen out of the grand. Instant. Ringing silence. You could hear people swallow. The auctioneer's voice cracked. F50 million. Caldwell bids 50 million. Any advance. Going once. Twice. Sold. Gavel down. Deal sealed. Every spotlight in the room pivoted to me. Shock. Jealousy. Disbelief. Sophie's face was printer paper white. Tears trembling on her lashes. Entire posture screaming that the universe had betrayed her. Brittany looked ready to chew through steel. As the planetary center of attention, I wanted a sinkhole to swallow me whole. Adrian, are you insane? That 50 million was supposed to slap the heroine awake? Why drag me in as human shield? I never auditioned for target practice. A white-gloved staffer delivered the necklace. Adrian picked it up, rose, stepped behind me. Turn around, he ordered. I rotated like a rusted robot. His warm fingers brushed my nape as the freezing stones settled against my skin. It felt less like jewelry, more like a ball and chain. Once the clasp clicked, he didn't return to his seat. In front of the whole hall, he bent to my ear. Voice pitched for me alone. Wipe that I'm about to cry face. I told you, don't disgrace me. His breath was hot, the warning razor sharp. I flinched and whipped around to put air between us, forgetting we were forehead to forehead. My lips skimmed his, soft. Cool. Time hit pause. I stared, stunned. For half a heartbeat Adrian looked equally startled. Then something darker eclipsed the surprise. Instead of pulling back, he slid a hand to the nape of my neck and deepened the accidental kiss. Boom. Mental fireworks. Every circuit fried. Camera flashes detonated like strobe grenades. Shutters clicking in machine gun bursts. Gasps and squeaks rippled through the crowd. Sophie's tears finally spilled. She clamped a hand over her mouth, spun, and bolted from the grand. Brittany's nails carved crescents into her own palm. And I, caught by the story's male lead, kissed senseless in high definition, felt my first kiss evaporate in the most cliched, headline-worthy way imaginable. I shoved him away with surprising force. Adrian, that was way over the line. I yelled, volume cranked to max. I no longer cared about assistant etiquette or cannon-fodder protocol. I had to escape this suffocating circus. Hiking up my skirt, I sprinted out of the grand, leaving chaos and the instigator in my wake. I burst onto the street. The night wind slapped my face. Ice cold but clarifying. I detonated the plot. I defended the heroine and the male lead in one spectacular crash. My future was going to be 100 times bleaker than that throwaway assistant's fate in the novel. The thought crushed me. I squatted on the curb, buried my face in my knees, and sobbed uncontrollably.